Sorry about the glasses, but the sun's glaring straight at me and I wanted this effect. Anyway, we're in Junkie Lanes, King's Cross, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about my journey here. Um, Living on the streets in the 80s was quite different. We didn't have the ability to get syringes like people do today. So back then, what we used to have to do was come down here, find old used ones because you could only get them between 9 to 5, which meant that we had to pick them up off the ground. We had to wash them out and try and clean them the best that we could, and then we'd sharpen them on a matchbox to try and get rid of the burrs. One of the problems was people used to shake as they were using, so that what happened is the top of the pick would hit the spoon, which would cause burrs on the end of it, which would cause untold damage to one's veins. I have a story here where I dropped one time. I think I've mentioned it before, but I'll share it with you again. I overdosed down here. I was actually with a predator. People ask me, oh, why was I with a predator? I was a street kid and that's how I survived. And I'd love to tell you another story, but that's actually the truth of it. You know, that's how I survived as a kid. And it's just the reality of it. Anyway, what happened was he stood up the top end here. I came down here to have my whack. And what ends up happening is I hit the deck, bang, straight down, hit the ground. And he went into 2 different houses. Can you believe this? The first one, he said, and this is some of the comments that I got on Insta that I kind of heard a little, but it is what it is. When he put his foot in the door and said, hey, there's a young boy, 15-year-old that's overdosed in the back lane, they said, just leave him there, mate. Let him die. And I just think as a father, you know, of children that are older than that now, how cold that is, you know. I keep saying today's addicts, tomorrow's advocate. I mean, look at me. I am living proof. I've gone through a lot of drug use in my life. I mean, 30 years on and off methadone, using heroin, cocaine, Jack and Jills. I've done this a lot, man. The only thing I haven't done is drunk alcohol. And but I hope that I show people that there's a way out. King's Cross was a different place in the 80s, man. It really was. It was a predator's paradise, hence the name of the book. And so many kids being subjected to different forms of abuse. Just the last thing I wanted to say on this is that, you know, parents, you really need to look at our children. If we let them feeling like they're rejected or abandoned, that is a pathway into being GROOMING. Because what happens is if they've gone through where they feel rejected or no one cares enough about them, they're going to go and look for that love somewhere else. And what's going to happen is they're going to find the wrong love. You know what I mean? The undercurrent often to addiction is trauma. I really applaud you if you're struggling with your addiction right now to try and have a look what's going on underneath. What is the trigger point that is actually going on below? What is it we're trying to silence? Because I know for me, when I'm in my own company, I'm in bad company. And what I mean by that is when I'm in my head, I'm in absolutely bad company. And the opposite to addiction is connection. I know that. And I know now that I talk through this stuff. You know, and the last thing I want to say is that to men, you know, we've been growing up taught don't speak about these things, don't talk about our emotions. I want to challenge you and say that actual strength of a real man, to me, is a man who can show that he's vulnerable. Vulnerability, bruh, is a superpower. You know, it's not a weakness. Whoever taught you as a kid, don't show emotion, don't, all this different shit that we were stigmatized and taught as children is fucking wrong. We need to flip the script. We as men need to hold ourselves accountable. We need to hold other men accountable. We need to change the game and we need to do that one man at a time. Thanks, guys.